Wait, it's not the right. Hey, stop. Oh wait.
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Matt Smith, and I'm going to go ahead and call for a motion to reconvene. Sorry. Call for a motion to reconvene to open session. May I have a motion and a second, please? Motion from member Sneed and a second from member Espinosa. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. Member Georgino?
Yes.
Member Lynn, are you here? I don't see him. Okay, Mike is not here yet, so I'm a yes. Member Sneed
Yes.
and Member Espinoza.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries 4-0 with
I
Dr.
just got
Lynn.
in that.
Oh, okay, there you go. You're gonna vote yes on that motion to reconvene?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
the motion carries 5-0. Thank you. With that, I'm going to move on to item 7 on our agenda, announcements taken closed session, or excuse me, an announcement, sorry. Tonight's meeting is being digitally recorded. And with that, we're going to be on to the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Member Lynn tonight. Mike?
Please stand, put your right hand over your heart, repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you, Mike. So now we're moving on to announcements of action taken in closed session, if any, and there were not any actions taken in closed session. So with that, we're going to move on to changes to our agenda. We have no changes that I'm aware of, unless another board member would like to suggest some. I will go ahead and call for a motion in a second to approve the agenda as is. We have a motion in a second. Motion from Member Espinoza and a second from Member Sneed. This as a roll call vote, and we'll start first with a preferential vote from Student Board Member Kiana Lee. Kiana, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And I'm a yes. Member Sneed? Member Sneed, you're muted.
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you. That's all right.
I had to unmute myself. Sorry.
That's all right. Member Espinoza?
Yes.
Member Georgino? Donna, you're muted too.
Muted.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. And Member Lynn?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. The motion carries 5-0. With that, we're on to item number 12, which is a special recognition and presentation about the Science Olympiad team from Longden. And it's going to be led by Chris Holmes, Karen Shea, and Samantha Chang. And I'll turn it over to Chris to first start, I guess.
Good evening, board members. Thank you so much for having us here tonight. And good evening to everybody that's watching tonight's school board meeting. And if you remember last school year, we brought 2 groups to present to the board. And one of those groups was our Science Olympiad team. That's led by Samantha Chang and Karen Shea. And I can't say enough about how proud I am of the students and the families and everyone who supported the group. And especially these 2 teachers who took on this challenge during our COVID lockdown. So I want them to present the results of their successful season and what an amazing journey they had this year in trying circumstances. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to my 2 amazing teachers, Samantha Chang and Karen Shea.
Thank you, Christopher. So I wanted to say that, when we, and I'm reading from something, everyone, but thank you, board members, and thank you, Superintendent Dr. Fricker. When we locked down in March 2020, Science Olympiad came to a halt and our competition was canceled. So during this past school year, the Science Olympiad National Committee worked really hard to make sure that this didn't happen again. They created an online platform that allowed teams to compete from their homes and submit their answers virtually. It was certainly a challenge that no one was ready for, but in a way, our students can say that they made history by competing in this unique way. So I just wanted to say that I have admired the spirit and the tenacity of our Longden Science Olympiad students. I'm very proud that we came together during this unique time. And in partnership with our supportive parents, our high school Science Olympiad mentors, Tuan and Suleika, and our principal, Mr. Holmes, we were able to lead our students to a successful win, gold. So Karen Shea and I want to congratulate our 15 gold medalists for their determination, hard work, and positive spirit. At this time, Mrs. Shea will read the names of our winners. And I encourage each student, when you hear your name called, please wave so that everyone here can see you. Mrs. Shea?
Thank you, Mrs. Chang. All right, we'll start off with Adele Ellis. We have Alexander Lee, Allison Ma, Andrew Kobayashi, Ethan Lei, Ethan Lee, Eva Yi, Jasmine Liao, Jeremiah Ma, Jeremiah Kwan, Jesse Lee, Julie Lee, Kaden Chen, Kayla Fan, Madison Fan, and Rylan Chow. Can you guys hold up your gold medals and show them off? It's a well-deserved gold medal. Thank you.
We do have two students that want to say a few words if, I don't know if that would be allowed.
Please.
Thank you. So why don't we start with Ms. Shea, you can decide who can start.
Okay, can we start with Julie Lee?
Hi everyone, my name is Julie, and as you can see, I'm a gold medalist, so that's great. Anyways, needless to say, this year has been extremely challenging, frustrating, and stressful, and new all at the same time. So yeah, it was kind of weird and very hard. But if you ask me, the teachers, faculty, and the Temple City Board of Education did an amazing job, because not only did they manage to transition hundreds of students and teachers from in-person learning to distance learning with almost completely new resources, they also managed to keep unnecessary things like Science Olympiad and Tiger Times to make sure that the school year was as interesting and fun as possible. However, Science Olympiad, like everything else, changed drastically. First off, because we were separated and could only see each other through our computer screens, so of course it was harder to communicate with each other and harder to form friendships throughout this year. And the competition was also changed drastically from our training time, which was cut short from almost entire school year to 2 months, to how we actually took the tests through our computers. However, with the help with our amazing advisors, Ms. Shea and Mrs. Chang, and the high school students from the high school Sciala team, we were able to overcome it all and still manage to get gold. So good job, everyone, and thank you.
All right, thank you, Julie. Could we also have Ethan Lee?
Hi, my name is Ethan Lee, and my experience with the Science Olympiad was outstanding because I learned many things and had fun competing with my partner. However, because this year was all virtual, things were difficult. Like I had a hard time communicating with my partner, and also it was trouble finding doing the competing at home. But because of the teachers, we are very grateful. Because of them, we were able to get by, and I cannot wait to try out next year.
All right, thank you, Ethan.
Is that it? I'm sorry.
Yes, that is.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. It's a nice presentation. I'm really happy to see how much the kids enjoyed it and got out of it in spite of the circumstances. So I'd like to thank you, congratulate you all once again. So thank you. Any comments or questions from my fellow board members? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Then we'll go ahead and move on to item 13 on our agenda, which is public comment and agendized and non-agendized items. And I did receive 2 requests. The first I'm going to go ahead and read, and then the second one, the gentleman is here and he will address us live. So this first one is from Sriram Baradhar Ajan, and it says, "Dear TUSD board members, I strongly urge that the board decide on the vaccination and testing mandates for its staff and eligible students 12 and above at the earliest. This would be similar to the mandate placed by the majority of the employers and the federal as well as the state government guidelines. The entire elementary school student population under 12 years of age are vulnerable, and teachers and staff who are unvaccinated should be mandated to submit frequent COVID tests. Allowing unvaccinated staff is akin to putting the lives of learners at risk, and the board must find a way to deal with staff and students who refuse to take the vaccine. And thank you. And again, it's from Sri Ram Babrahar Ajan. So with that, our second guest speaker is Stephen Lee, and he would like to talk to us about Project Talent Launch. Steve, are you here?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay, very good. Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Stephen Lee, the founder and CEO of Project Talent Launch, or PTL for short. I mean, it was great seeing the Longdon students win Science Olympiad. I previously actually went to Longdon, so it's nice seeing, the next generation break new boundaries. So we're Project Talent Launch is a 501c3 founded in Arcadia, and our mission is to partner with businesses and community organizations to create internship opportunities for all high school students. And I'm here today to invite the Temple City Unified School District Board of Education to our Project Talent Launch PTL award ceremony, where we'll provide scholarships to our 9 PTL scholars, 5 of which are actually coming from Temple City High School. As a fully student-run and founded organization, we understand the importance of internships firsthand. Considering internships are a gateway to many professions, improving access to high school internships will promote economic equality. However, high school internships are very rare, speaking from experience, and having access to them is even rarer. So Project Talent Launch is a movement dedicated to providing meaningful internships for all high school students. In here, I would like to publicly thank Temple City High School Counselor Amy Sisson and Temple City High School Career and Technology Instructor Dave Dickey, and of course our students, Emily Wu, interning at 21st Century, Darren Yang, interning at Arroyos and Foothills Conservancy, Chelsea Ling, interning at A1 West Commercial Real Estate, Langfang Lee, interning at A1 West, and Cyrus Clark, interning at Virtualytics. I'll follow up with more details of the event and a formal invitation later this week, but I want to congratulate all of our students who have made this year special and all the teachers that have helped us make this possible. My hope is for PTL to partner with Temple City Unified officially this year and recruit more students to our upcoming programs. And to the public, I would appreciate it if anyone could check us out at P Talent Launch on Instagram or Twitter. Our website is www.projecttalentlaunch.org. That's www.projecttalentlaunch.org. And our GoFundMe is gofundme.com/ptalentlaunch if you want to help us support the next generation of talent. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. And we'll look forward to hearing more and learning more about your organization. So thank you. With that, we're going to move on to item 14, community update. And I have no updates to provide. Moving on to item 15, district updates. And we'll start first in the area of business services. And this will be presented tonight by Dr. Kimberly Fricker. Kim.
Thank you, President Smith. So in the business office, we are finalizing all contracts and purchases, as this is a critical time of year when teachers are wanting those items in their classrooms. Everything that has been purchased has been delivered to our warehouse and then has also been delivered to our school sites. So those items are waiting there for all of our teachers. On the facilities front, all of the facility projects are in their final phases of completion. I know that we're doing some concrete work and we are finishing all of the shade structures and getting those installed so students will have shade coverage all across our district. They look absolutely amazing, and I think the M&O department did an incredible job working through DSA to get them all approved in a timely fashion to start school. There's a couple, there's Emperor shade structure is just waiting for the actual shade portion. It came in in the wrong color, and we do know that our Eagles need to have the right color on their campus. So they are shipping us one ASAP, and we should hopefully have it soon. We are also finalizing the bid process just for our busing contracts, and that should be completed by the end of the week. Diana is working really hard to make that happen. And then Alexa, who is our director of fiscal, she's doing a fantastic job finalizing the year-end closures and unaudited actuals. And so she's wrapping that up quite nicely. A lot of work on her plate, but I keep telling her that in September or October, her break and holiday is coming. And then finally, we are in the final stages of applying for the mandated block grant. We're finishing that application and we hope to be submitting that soon so we can have additional funds come into the district. So that's it for business.
Great, thank you, Kim. Moving on to educational services, our new Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services and his rookie presentation, Richard Lohman.
Thank you, President Smith. So we're my update. So we're joining Positive Behavior Intervention Support, which is PBS consortium with LACO. Monica Lukesh will be working with the principals to continue to develop and align our PBS program across our campuses. Also want to say I'm excited to have Monica back with us after her time off. Canvas will continue to be our learning management system. Many of our teachers have just completed a deeper training for the learning management system this week. Ongoing training will be by Amy Gerling and Scott Sherman, and will continue to take place throughout the year to support our staff. I want a big thank you to Amy and Scott for all the hard work that they've done to support both of our staff and students. Master schedules are in the final stages, and they should hopefully roll over at the end of this week. I need to throw out a thank you to Carrie Smith and Chris Holmes for the work that they've done on this to make this happen for our sites. Our student transition education program, STEP, has been completed at Emperor, La Rosa, and Longden finished up today. 10th graders were welcomed back on campus last week, and 7th, 8th, and 9th graders will be later on this week. It was really exciting to see students back on campus, those students who had never seen campuses before back where they should be. LACO has come back with some minor inconsistencies in our LCAP report. We're in the process of addressing those inconsistencies, and once they're done, we'll resubmit the document to LACO. And finally, our elementary PE schedule has changed from 50 minutes twice a week to 30 minutes 4 times a week. All of our elementary principals are aware of the change and working with their staff to customize their time frames. This is a positive impact on our students, especially the younger ones who struggled with a 50-minute class period of PE. This change also will comply with required elementary physical education minutes. And that's it for me.
Great. Thank you, Richard. Fantastic first appearance.
Thank you, President Smith. I was nervous all week.
Okay, with that, we're going to move on to our newly appointed Assistant Superintendent of Personnel Services, Tamara Kataroyan. Tamara, what do you have for us?
Thank you so much. First off, I just want to take the opportunity to thank the Board of Education for entrusting me in this position. I am grateful, and you will have my very best. So thank you so much. With that, it is the busiest time for us right now in personnel services. We have been hiring lots of positions at the site level, at site administrative level, and the district administration. So I do want to give them a huge shout out because they have been working tirelessly around the clock to make sure that we are fully staffed and ready to go for the start of school. So we also launched our leadership retreat last week with all of our site administrators. We had the opportunity to celebrate them all and thank them for the hard work that they've put in, not only last year, but this summer and ongoing. So that was exciting. We had a great leadership retreat last week. We will also have our new teacher orientation next week. We still have some fingerprint clearance and the process is still trickling in. So once we have all of our numbers, we will be ready to go and we will launch and celebrate our new teachers and welcome them to our district. So I'm proud of all the work that everyone has put in. So here we go to a great school year.
Great, thank you, Tamara, and you did a great job as well with your first chance. With that, we're going to move on to student services and technology, and this will be closed out with Dr. Kimberly Fricker. Kim, again.
Hello again, President Smith. So yes, on behalf of Student Services, our ELP, Extended Learning Program, is enrolling students currently and also going through their finalization of staffing. They are hopeful to have an increased enrollment and things look up for our ELP program, which is great. Mickey Wong does an excellent job at making sure all of our families are attended to. And I know that she's sending out a letter this Friday for all of our families who have signed up, welcoming them to the program. We are also right at the 48% for free reduced lunch students. And this is a really important number for Temple City because we are really, really close to the 55% line. If students across our district who are in need and need a free and reduced lunch, if we can get up to that 55% line or above, that puts us in a different category of funding. Currently, Temple City is under the base funding program. that all districts are subject to. But when you get above 55% of that free reduced population, then you are open to the advantage of receiving concentration funds. And so that's a significant increase in funding for Temple City. We do have, the thought out there that many of our families through the pandemic have had adverse effects of the pandemic. And we do want to help those families who are in need. In this case, it's a win-win for both. It helps our families and our students, but it also helps the district because it garners extra funds coming into the districts. Many of the districts who already have concentration funds know the advantage that garners. We, as our district, service a higher need of population of students by interventions and programs for those students, but we have to do it within our current base funding level. So getting up to that 55% is really, if we're that close, it's a matter of about 300 to 350 students across our district. So we are very, very close to that, but it would be a game changer for us on the funding front. And also we want to provide that support and those nourishing meals to all of our families out there. So we are in the registration process. We are trying to reach out to families to see if any of our families are in need. And if you are in need, we are happy to help you fill out that form and then get those applications processed. So you will see more about that as you go through your registration cycles at your school sites. And the other thing that I want to report on is Assembly Bill 104. Assembly Bill 104 offers grade change opportunities, especially to our students at the secondary levels and our high school students who want to go from letter grade, that would be A, B, C, D, onto a pass or no pass grade. It also provides provisions for retention of students to your prior grade. And it walks you through the process with which districts and families would have to meet together and decide on a retention decision. So according to the Assembly Bill, parents have been notified. We did send out a parent square message to all of our families. We also have updated all of our websites with the appropriate information regarding AB 104 on the front pages. And we've also included fillable PDF forms for the ease of use for our families to fill and submit to their building principal. And that ends my report.
Great, thank you, Kim. Okay, with that, we are moving on to item 16, bargaining unit comments, and we'll start first with TCEA President Kyla Yurtstedt. Kyla, what do you have for us?
Thank you. Well, I'm excited to see how our new school year gets off to a start. I think we've got lots of moving parts, but I do appreciate all the hard work that's going into getting our year off. I'm pretty excited that, and I think it was in the last maybe 2 board meetings, it was recognized, and I think we've all been recognizing that it looks like the state's going to be giving some good funding to school. So I'm happy about starting a school year like that. I also want to just take a minute to talk about a term that got brought up quite a few times last school year. There's been a discussion of deficit spending, and I know that that's something that's been a concern to the district and to board members. But I just want to put out there that deficit spending can happen a couple of different ways, right? Like I can decide I want to save for something that I can't afford in 1 year. So I put money aside for like a new car that I don't want to have a payment for that car. So I'm going to save for that car. And so over 3 or 4 years, I save a bunch of money. And then the year comes that I can make my purchase. And so I go and I spend that large amount of money from my savings. And so that year I am technically deficit spending, right? I'm spending more money than I have in that year because I've done the good job of saving my money. And I think our district has done that many times, right? We have had many years of surplus. We've built a really large reserve. And so when the pandemic hit and we had a lot of one-time purchases like technology for our district and for our students, we spent a lot of money during the COVID year of our 2020 year. And so that put us into a recognized deficit spending pattern. I don't think that we're deficit spending in the way that it's dangerous, right? In the way that we are spending ongoing money year after year that we've committed to going forward. So I know the term deficit spending has come up several times, and I just thought, well, let's start the school year celebrating the fact that our district is planning to hopefully get lots of money from the state, and also recognize that the scary thing of deficit spending isn't necessarily a bad thing if we were using money that we saved for a time of need and we used it in that time of need, and we can go forward and have good, healthy practices. So that's what I have to share today. I hope you guys are having a great night and that we're off to a good school year. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Kyla. Moving right along to CSEA Association President 105, Robin Penn. Robin, what do you have for us?
I just wanted to say congratulations to Tamar and Richard I don't see Chris here, but to him too. I'm really excited about all the changes. Everybody's like up in arms about, my God, everything's changing. And I'm like, yeah, everything's changing. I'm great with it. So congratulations to everybody. And I'm looking forward to moving forward. And I really wanted to say thank you to whoever. I don't know who's making decisions right now. So I'm just going to say whoever made the decision for the classified people to go back to where they were in the 1920 school year. I think that's best for everyone. And I understand there might be a few that we might have to move around somewhere, but everybody's pretty relieved about that. So I appreciate that and look forward to a new year. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Robin. And then moving right along to CSEA 823, President Art Contreras. Art, what do you have for us?
All right, good evening, everybody, board, everybody here. I want to piggyback on Robin. Congratulations to Richard and Tamar. I'm going to miss Richard dearly because he was a good person to go to when I needed to talk to somebody, and he was always there, open door. But I'm happy that he got what he wanted and promoted, and I wish him the best. And Tamara as well. Getting to know her, and I think we're going to have a good working relationship, and we're going to build a strong one as well. As we move to opening up our schools, I just want to know that we're not out the woods, and we just need to stay vigilant and keep the precautions in place. And I just urge everyone to please take care of yourselves and wear your PPE and wash your hands, and try to distance as much as possible, because this variant out there is no joke. That's all I have to say.
Great, thank you very much, Art. Okay, with that, we're moving on to item 17, board member comments. And tonight we're going to start with member Georgina. Donna, what do you have for us? And you're muted.
Thank you. Just a few things. First, I want to congratulate the Longden Elementary School Science Olympiad team. That's so impressive, and I'm so grateful that we were able to continue that program for them during distance learning, and I look forward to seeing what they do next year when they get to meet in person. I also wanted to congratulate the Longden School PTA. They received the National School of Excellence Award for being an inclusive and welcoming school. I believe last year they did the art projects every month where they focused on a different culture, and the PTA there works really hard. So congratulations to them. And while I'm talking about PTA, I'll give a plug for PTA. Everybody please join our school PTA because they do a lot of great things for our children. Since our last meeting, I participated in a LACSTA meeting a couple nights ago. Dr. Farrar was talking about the pandemic and back to school and all the precautions that are in place. So that was very interesting. And I also attended one of my favorite things to do, attend a dine out at Chipotle for the Temple City High School American Cancer Society Club. So hopefully that went well. I wanted to remind everybody Temple City football is back, and the first game is on August 27th. I'm not sure who we're playing, but it'd be great to have a big socially distanced crowd out there cheering our students on. And I will be working the snack bar for the Thursday afternoon game. So if anybody's bored, come on by and buy a candy bar or a soda or something. Be glad to sell it to you. And finally, I wanted to wish all our school staff and students a safe and productive school year, and hopefully everything goes well. And thank you everyone for all the hard work you've put into preparing for this. That's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Donna. Next up is going to be Dr. Michael Lynn. Mike, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Board President Smith, and congratulations to Tamar and Richard. I also would like to echo congratulations to the Longdon Science Olympic team. Thank you to Ms. Samantha Chang and Ms. Karen Shea for your hard work. I would also like to commend Dr. Fricker for her foresight, leadership, and excellent preparation for students to return back to school, full-time and in person. The options that our school district offer students and families are far superior to anything that we can find in any neighboring school district. So congratulations, Dr. Fricker, and we have you and your administrative team, our faculty and staff to thank for. Thank you, and that is all from me.
Great, thanks, Mike. I'm going to go ahead and speak next. Not much really to add. I do want to congratulate again the Longdon Science Olympiad team for their great job and work, and appreciate the support from Karen Shea and Samantha Chang in helping those kids out. Since the last board meeting, I had a chance to sit down, both the district and the city had a chance to sit down and talk about things we might be able to do, projects we might be able to leverage, and we're continuing to look at things that we can do together, make our community proud. Like Don, I attended the LAXTA meeting on Monday evening, and in addition to Dr. Farrar, there was a gentleman named Kevin Gordon who has an organization called Capitals Advisors, and he spoke about some of the budget issues, and it's nothing really new, but I try to hang into those things and keep up. Also had a chance today, earlier this morning, late this morning, with Dr. Fricker to meet with an organization called Healthy Lungs Temple City. It's kind of a offshoot of the American Lung Association, and there was a representative there from American Lung Association, and they talked to us about vaping and what's going on in our city in terms of the number of shops nearby, schools and whatnot that sell vaping things. And so we'll look forward to hearing more from them and working with them to find out if vaping is an issue in our area. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mary Sneed. Mary?
Thank you, President Smith. Last week, I was able to help out at the high school band camp. I hadn't done that for, oh, we're not going to say how many years. And then Friday night, I watched their demonstration on the field. The students did a really great job. If you figure half the band has never been on a field because of COVID in the last year, they really learned a lot in 5 days. And it really brought back memories, good memories of when our sons were in band. It was really nice to see students on campus again. And I hope they have a very successful season. I also saw the football team out on the field practicing. So it's just really nice to see kids back on campus like we've always wanted. Congratulations to 2 of the students who designed the band shoes in their custom culture contest. Kathy Yee and Catherine Ruan have both received sizable scholarships from bands. Kathy is attending Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and Catherine is attending Claremont McKenna College. So congratulations to them. Congratulations also to the Longdon Science Olympiad. They participated in that program for a lot of years, and it's just really great to see them continue it this year, despite any hardships they had, and very, very proud of you for winning gold. And great job to the students and to the directors. I know Mrs. Chang and Mrs. Shea have been doing it for many, many years. And it's really nice to see how well the students did, but I appreciate the teachers going above and beyond in the last year to help them. Congratulations to Longdon PGA as National PGA School of Excellence. I'll echo what Donna said. All the PGAs do such a great job, and they've done a lot to support the schools in the last year. So go out and join them all. We're welcoming several of our new administrators to the district tonight, and I wish all of you a lot of success in your new positions. We'll be welcoming our staff and students back to school next week. not that long ago, I still remember the excitement of setting up a classroom and even how good it felt to crack open a new plan book at the beginning of the year and plan out my lessons. So I wish everybody a really great new year. And I thank all of you for all your efforts throughout the last year. And lastly, congratulations to Matt and Janet Smith on their 40th anniversary.
Oh,
Congratulations.
thank you. Not 40th. Okay, moving on, last but not least is Member Espinosa. Melissa, what do you have to share?
Good evening, everybody. I want to congratulate the Longdon Science Olympiad. I think it was wonderful to see that there was collaboration not only with the students and the staff at Longdon, but also with the high school. That type of collaboration is wonderful and it benefits everybody. So I think that was one of the things that I thought was great about the efforts and the success of the Longdon Science Olympiad program. So thank you for that. In terms of volunteering, I volunteered for at registration at the PTSA table at the high school on Monday morning. I encourage everybody to become a member of PTA, and it was great to see students connecting with one another on campus. It was just alive again, and it was heartwarming and great. I also helped plan meals for the Brighter Side Camp this week, and so they are very deep into their camp and their performances and dance rehearsals and all of that. So that's really great to see as well. I want to thank the Oak PTA boards and the council PTA leadership over the last few years that worked to make the new marquee at Oak a reality. It looks wonderful, and I know it took several years to make this happen. So thank you for your perseverance and your leadership, and it's now up and running for everybody to enjoy. So thank you so much for that. And then lastly, I want to thank Dr. Fricker, the administrators, the teachers, and the staff for all the planning and preparation for the 2021-2022 school year. I'm really excited to see all of the plans come to life. I know everybody's worked super hard, so I'm crossing my fingers that everything continues as plans, and I'm sure we'll have to make some adjustments, but just hoping to see everything come to life and to see how all of this benefits our students and families. So thank you so much for your hard work, and best of luck in the new year.
Great, thank you, Melissa. Moving on to item 18, our student board member comments from student board member Kiana Lee. Kiana, what would you like to share?
Thank you, President Smith, for calling on me and allowing me to speak. I wanted to first congratulate the Longdon Science Olympiad on their hard-earned progress as our scientists and STEM leaders of the future. I'm very excited to see their progress as they're really young and motivated. I also wanted to thank Ms. Montero for allowing me to attend last Wednesday's CSBA student board member training regarding the Brown Act and how it outlines the responsibilities of student representatives and the Board of Education. All throughout this week, like Ms. Espinosa has highlighted, our school sites have been holding our first in-person registrations since prior to the pandemic. PTSA and the PTA organizations at each school site have been working hard to garner membership. And if you have not done so already, I highly encourage you to please join the PTA online at jointotem.com. The TCUSD ASB has also been hard at work each day outside of their school sites to encourage student sales of ASB cards to support student activities and athletics programs that will support all of the athletics all throughout this year. In regards to registration as well, our link crew team at TCHS and the web leaders at Oak Avenue have been hard at work to prepare for the 7th grade, 8th grade, and freshman orientations, which are really important as we were preparing to provide a warm welcome to all students to their new school sites. I also attended the first Temple City Youth Committee meeting of this school year, where I was able to listen in on a presentation by Athens Services on Senate Bill 1383, and it described how the school sites will be starting January separating food waste, which Athens Services will be collecting for community compost. I'm very excited to see this start about and how we're working to promote an environmentally friendly community. At the last board meeting, I also wanted to reiterate that I addressed our concern about the yearbook income deficit. And this required the ASB to cover $5,000 in expenses to the yearbook editor. This deficit was caused to the immense decrease in yearbook sales last year due to our COVID school year and online registration. And I would just like to state for the record that the decisions that the Board of Education makes should be considerate of the fiscal impact they have on the students. One example being our ASB at the Temple City High School expended $20,000 more than we generated in sales for activities and athletics, which cannot continue in perpetuity. And with that said, I'd like to thank all the board members, Dr. Fricker, staff and faculty members of TCUSD for working hard to prepare for a smooth school year. I'm excited for the wonderful opportunities and activities that we have in store for this school year. And lastly, I'd like to wish everyone a great school year and much success and enjoyment to all our students. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Kiana, for your presentation. Okay, with that, we're moving on to item number 19, Superintendent's comments. Dr. Kimberly Fricker. Kim.
Thank you. Thank you again, President Smith. So we are watching as the COVID cases are kind of stabilizing and slightly reducing. We still are experiencing right around 3,000 COVID cases per day, but we do have that on the horizon, and it has allowed us to adjust some things as we open school. As you know, TCUSD is always conservative when it comes to staff and student health and wellness, and we will continue to exhibit those protective mechanisms as we move into the school year. We are finalizing the MOU agreements with all of our labor unions, CSEA 105, 823, and TCEA. I just want to thank Robin, Art, and Kyla, and Christy, and Tessie for all of your work on those contracts, those MOU contracts with us. It has been an enjoyable process. I know lengthy. We've had many meetings just to make sure that we get it all right, but it is a great partnership and it's easy working with all of you. So we appreciate that. Those are in those final stages. And so once that's approved, we can then send out all of the COVID regulations and guidelines and measures that we've agreed to in those agreements and that we intend to put forward. So those will be coming out tomorrow and Friday to our parents and our staff and our students. So we will look forward to that on the horizon. I also want to thank our classified team at school sites and here in the district office just for making sure that they are attending to everything so that the opening of school is smooth as possible. And also, I want to just thank our M&O team, custodial and grounds. I know that they're working very, very hard to finalize all of those projects out at school sites and around the district so that the opening of school is a proud one for all and it is a safe one for everyone coming on and off campuses. In addition to that, I know that we have completed all of our school site inspections to make sure that the guidelines have been implemented and that all of the safety measures across our district are put in place. So they have finished those site walks. I know that Ms. Mari Montgomery and Del Cavillo and the principals have been invested in the past couple of weeks, making sure that those inspections take place and that the communication goes out in terms of what those regulations and guidelines are. So thank you for that. Big thank you for all of the principals who've done so much work and the new principals that are coming on board that are eager to get started and diving in to make sure that they lead their school sites into this new school year, which we're all excited. And to welcome in the new principals, we are going to be hosting ice cream socials on Friday to welcome them to their campus. And so we hope that staff will have the opportunity to attend. You will be receiving an invitation in your inboxes later on in the evening after the close of the board meeting. So we do want to invite you and have a warm welcome for the new principals who are coming on board. And that is it.
Great, thank you, Kim. Moving on next to item 20, written communications. I do actually have two written communications I received both from LACO. The first one actually concerns item 28, which is later on our agenda, And we took similar action about 6 weeks ago, I think, regarding, I'll just go ahead and read this. Under Assembly Bill AB 1200, the Los Angeles County Superintendent of Schools has reviewed the Temple City School District's public disclosure proposed collective bargaining agreement and concerning the tentative agreement with the California School Employees Association 823. And it says the tentative agreement provides for a 1.25% on scheduled salary increase retroactive to July 1, 2020. The district also agrees to provide income protection insurance, and the annual health and welfare benefits cap remains at $9,250. So we were not able to take action on CSE 823 6 weeks ago when we did everybody else, because at that time the agreement hadn't been ratified, and it has since been ratified. And then something Richard touched upon during his presentation tonight, I also received a letter from LACO, kind of a nice slap on the wrist, to be honest. They reviewed our LCAP submission, and they say basically it does not adhere to the state board of approved template, and they have asked us to clean that up, and I know Richard's working on that, so we've got that too. Okay, with that, we are moving on to the discussion information portion of our agenda, starting first with administration, item 21, opening of public schools plan, and this will be a presentation from Kimberly Fricker. Kim?
Thank you. Okay. So as we get started in the school year, I think it's an exciting time. It has been 18, almost 20 months of just not seeing each other, not having kids on campus. And it is so funny when you see kids on campus, it's the most exciting, exhilarating feeling. And I know that we all feel that, and it really energizes you. Even though the work is hard in preparing for the school year, it really energizes you knowing that those students and those faces that we all love are coming back. And so we all want to welcome our students back, our families, our exciting time for them. And then also we want to welcome our staff back to our campuses. And we are going to get started very, very shortly next week. So first and foremost, we did have a leadership team kickoff last week where we welcomed the team back, and we also welcomed some new names and faces to our team. So we hope to bring them in and make sure that they become part of the TCUSD family in a very short amount of time. And some of our principals are new at the site, so we will be again hosting a little ice cream social for them on Friday, which everybody will get an invitation to. So. With regard to communication, the message from the district office out is really about positivity, kindness, acceptance, and inclusion. And this has always been factors that we believed in here and we have always put forward. I think now is a time that we really feel that this is a major focus for our school. The students have been through some traumatic experiences, having the COVID closures, as well as our families. And so we want to make sure that these characteristics are, pervasive throughout the district. We do want some communication. I want a reminder of some communications. The superintendent's newsletter comes out twice a month. School site newsletters from all of our sites. We spoke to the principals and they are developing those, and those will be coming out weekly. And then parent-student square messages. That is a key essential for our district. And all of the important information will be coming out of Parent-Student Square, and also the health screener is in Parent-Student Square as well. In addition to COVID-19 related news and announcements, those will be coming out as frequently as we get updates from the state and local agencies. Sometimes that information shifts and it can shift quite drastically as we've seen in the past. We do hope to keep on top of that and then pushing that information out to our families and our staff. And then PTR and requisitions, all of our PTRs and requisitions have gone online. So that has made the workflow system much more effective and efficient across our district. And that has affected our staff greatly. And it has increased the workflow and the productivity of those systems. So I'm happy to report on that. And then we have finalized our district safety plan. So upon the conclusion of the MOU agreements with the collective bargaining agencies and our unions, we will be pushing out the district safety plan when those agreements are signed. Again, I mentioned Assembly Bill 104, which allows for grade change and also retention. And just a reminder that our websites are updated on all of our school sites in the district office. Notifications have gone out to parents, and then there are fillable forms for their convenience should they want to apply for either two of those affordances under the Assembly Bill. We do have a continuity of learning plan, and that is very important. Again, we have to have a plan to mitigate learning loss, which we've done through our summer program, and we will continue to do that moving into the fall semester and the fall season for elementary. Canvas is our learning management system for TK through 12, and it really is going to be that house and will remain being that house for all of our content, curriculum, instruction, assessments, and scheduling. This makes sure that if students are out on, either if they are out ill for a period of time or through the contact tracing process, they would have to be isolated or quarantined. This would ensure that they have complete access to their curriculum and their instructional materials at all times, whether they're in-person learning or whether they have to be home in their homes should one of those quarantine or isolation periods happen. We want to make sure that there's no interruption to their learning process. Our teachers are well versed with Canvas. Our families have become well versed with Canvas, having used that system all last year. And then making sure that, at least at the secondary level, intermediate and high school will be updating their Canvas grades at weekly. And then the elementary will be, in alignment with their normal reporting period. With regard to interventions, we know that we have to have a response to intervention to prevent that or mitigate learning loss. Throughout the fall, we are currently working with our principals to establish intervention programs during the day intervention for our elementary program, and then also after school interventions for elementary, intermediate, and high school. Paper is always available. We had partnered with Paper last year, and that is 24-hour tutoring help for all of our staff, and for all of our students. So that will continue to be a resource that they will have access to. In terms of positive behavior intervention and support, we do understand that there is a social emotional component to the learning environment. And Monica Lukesh, as Richard Lohman had stated, is heading up our PBIS portion of the district. That consortium will be helping principals, counselors, and teacher groups get trained in PBIS and implement the current level of PBIS in their school, and also grow and expand their program throughout this year. So we are really excited to do that. I know that at the elementary level, we have implemented teacher lead positions, and so they will be instrumental in helping PBIS kind of grow and flourish on their campuses. It's really rewarding students with positive affirmation and finding ways to work with students to maximize their learning instead of finding negative, ways of punishing students for not having things completed or, behavioral challenges that we may see. These students come to us from a wide variety of backgrounds, and we want to make sure that they feel warm and welcome and safe in our school sites, and that the loving, caring adults that we have really are going to help shape them to be their best in their future. So we are going to continue with the PBIS initiative and provide those social emotional learning interventions. As mentioned before, we are launching the TCS Virtual Academy, and it is well underway. We have over 500 students in our program. We have students that are coming from different districts into this program. We are happy to see that enrollment come through and then get enrolled into the Virtual Academy. So we welcome students from both within and from outside of our district. We are using TCUSD teachers for a large portion of the roles that are filled in the Virtual Academy, and then where needed, we have looked outside. The Virtual Academy also has to fly under the radar of independent study, as that is what the governor had indicated to all school sites that we have to use. So for our elementary program, it is going to look like guided distance learning, quite similar to what we had last year. For the intermediate and the high schools, it's going to be a blend between our Apex digital curriculum, and then that will be guided with a an educator or teacher support to guide those classes and be resources to the teachers, the students who are taking those classes at the secondary level, and that would include intermediate and high school. So I know that Susan Hemmons has worked hard on getting the academy up and running. Teachers have rolled over into the academy, and also students have rolled over into the academy. Confirmations have been done with our families to make sure that they are still choosing to be in the virtual academy, and we still are taking enrollments, student enrollment into that academy. So more is welcome, but it's well underway, and at 527 students, it is really its own school. On the technology front, there's a change of our virtual learning meeting platform. Last year, we were on the platform of Zoom. Zoom has recently gone through a class action lawsuit that found Zoom in violation of privacy regulations and laws. And so we are hosting our virtual meeting platform in the virtual academy on Microsoft Teams, but we are also offering Google Meets, which is a platform that our teachers are familiar with. Both of those platforms we already have contracts with, so there is no additional, charge or financial obligation to work with either one of those groups. We did have Zoom. Zoom was an extra financial obligation, but at the time last year, we wanted we were hoping to have the most robust virtual meeting platform, and Zoom just was the thing at the time. But since the class action lawsuit, we do want to make sure that we uphold to the privacy laws and regulations. And so Microsoft Teams and Google Meets are going to be our selections moving forward for this year. To assist and support, to make sure that those of you using virtual platforms and or families who are getting information to and from that Canvas site, so that there is no interruption to the learning process and we ensure continuity of learning. We do have a TCUSD school site student family help desk, and that the help desk is for families who are needing assistance or students who are needing assistance navigating. We also have the employee help spot, and that is a separate channel so that our staff who is needing technology help has a vein of their own to get assistance. And we want to make sure that we have two veins coming in. We have two different people manning those posts so that each one, the one channel doesn't get clogged, and each one gets the service that they need in a very timely manner. So these are two things that we had in the past and we are moving forward with, and just want to make that available for both our families and for our employees. When we talk about general staff student COVID protocols, and if anyone is experiencing symptoms or illness to the point where you feel sick, you should stay home. And we are encouraging families to stay home if they feel ill, or our staff. We don't want to inadvertently spread the COVID virus to other people. And in some cases, until you're tested, you don't know if you have it or if you don't. We are encouraging frequent hand washing and sanitizing. We have sanitizing stations throughout our campus, and we've ordered hand washing stations to be filtered in the open spaces of campus for students who are out at lunch or recess to be free to hand wash. Masks must be worn indoors at all times, unless while you're eating or alone in a closed space. The other area where a mask may be taken off is if you have a face shield and drape, then teachers who have to have enunciation or pronunciation lessons, especially at the lower elementary level, they would be able to use a face shield so that the students can see the mechanical motion of the mouth in forming those sounds. Social distancing is no longer required. There is not a 6-foot or 3-foot requirement, but we are encouraging physical distancing wherever feasible. So in arranging desks in schools, we are wanting them to be as far apart as possible within that room space, just because we know that masking and physical distancing are the two ways of reducing the spread between people. And we want to make sure that our staff and students stay on campus as long as possible and avoid campus closures. So we are encouraging physical distancing wherever feasible. The self-system screener located in Parent Square is going to be put in place for both students and staff. upon entry to school. And this is a way for them to check their symptoms and make sure that they are not ill coming to school. So doing it prior to them arriving would allow them to ward off coming to the school site if you are experiencing any of those symptoms, and that you should stay home and possibly get a COVID test. Temperature screening is included in the Parent Square health screener, but it is no longer going to be required at the entrance. So that would help our students get onto campus as quickly in the morning. We know that the drop-off period can get quite congested. And so removing that temperature screening from walking in and keeping that just in the health screener will help facilitate ingress and egress of students on and off campus. And then we do want to avoid sharing materials or equipment, and we are limiting visitors on campus and volunteers on campus. We want to make sure that the interior spaces are clean and safe and sanitary, and by eliminating other people from coming in and out of those spaces will help keep those spaces sanitized, and it will reduce cross-contamination from other individuals. The other portion of that is that we are mandated to go through a screening process for contact tracing. And if we have individuals coming on campus, we have to contact trace an additional amount of people. And so not knowing what the volume of that is going to be at the start of this, we want to make sure that we limit that so that our staff can contact trace efficiently and effectively, and make sure that we report out and notify people in the timeframes that are needed. Facility and school site COVID protocols. So sanitation solutions have, and all the materials that we use to keep our campuses safe have met Cal OSHA, CDC, EPA, and LACDPH guidelines. We are reducing crowds wherever possible. When students are out at recess, we are asking them to physical distance to the point feasible. We do have large open spaces on all of our campuses, so that does seem not to be a problem. And we also have those beautiful shade structures for students to eat lunch outdoors, but under the shade and not in the sun. At this time, no indoor facility use contracts are going to be approved. Again, we are trying to safeguard those interior spaces and reduce the amount of unneeded individuals into those spaces, just to make sure that our teachers feel very comfortable that their classrooms are going to be protected, and that our families feel very comfortable that their classrooms for their student is going to be protected as much as humanly possible. We did have site inspections by the JPA this summer. We had a facilities audit, like I mentioned before, and then we also had an LACDPH audit that made sure that our campuses meet the quality line for the opening of school. Each facility is sanitized and sprayed with the electrostatic sprayers, and then our playground equipment is going to be sprayed after every use. So we want to make sure that, we understand that students are going to be out there playing, but we want to make sure that between those groups of students that we do give it a quick sanitation before the next group comes on. We have updated signage and postings and notifications across our campuses. So that has all been done. The COVID strike team is still in place in case we do have to have a COVID closure due to an outbreak. And of course, if that does happen, the notifications will come out to that site and to those families. And then we've also updated the HVAC system filters to MERV 11s. And again, we ordered in the spring areas pure clean air purifiers, and those are going to be in each classroom and in the main offices. Some programmatic protocols. We have back to school night. The dates have been selected, but it's going to be virtual this year with the rise in COVID cases. And in a traditional back to school night, where you normally would have one student in the classroom, every student has two parents. So instead of having just a classroom, say of 20, you would have a classroom of 40, because every student has two parents. And of course they would want to come to back to school night. So to limit that crowding, and again, to protect those interior spaces from any cross contamination, we are going to hold back to school nights virtually this year. All of our principals have been communicated and are making plans for a virtual back to school night. I just want to thank the principals and those administrative teams, and also the teachers who have to put together the virtual back to school. I know it's a little bit inconvenient, but I do think it's safe in the long run. And I just appreciate all of their support in making all of those happen. We've reviewed some of those plans, and they seem to be quite fantastic. So it's not ideal. but I think it's the safest route to go for our students and for our staff. PTA School Site Council will schedule all of their activities with the principal. Their meetings can be held virtually for the initial start of school, and then we are going to revisit that once we get school started. If you are in performing arts, or if you are in some athletics or PE classes, anything where you would have to expend wind, those classes are preferred to be held outdoors. So I know our principals are working with just different site locations to make sure that those classes can be held in an outdoor venue, and in the outdoor venue, the mask can be removed. If those activities have to go indoors, then the mask has to remain on. So, and of course, you know, supervision for whether you're outside or inside has to be in compliance with a certificated individual. So I know that our principals are working with what those programs are on their sites. In some cases, we've asked to have like different tents or something that students can come under. We are looking at those as options. Anything that goes over a student's head must go through DSA, but we are checking if the like a very, very large pop-up tent or an easy up situation would have to meet the same guidelines. But anything that would go overhead that would attach to a fixed structure would actually have to be approved by DSA. So like a sail or an extra shade structure would not work in this case. So we're trying to see what we can do should those classes have to be in outdoor locations for a lengthy period of time. So that's still to come, but I do appreciate our principals and making those adjustments with some of those courses. On to campus safety. Weekly, our principals are going to have a COVID inspection that they just go around their sites and make quick sure that some of the guidelines are always being followed every single week. That's turned into the Office of Risk Management every Friday. We also have quarterly inspections, and this would be the campus safety checklist for K through 12, and that would happen in a frequency of, you know, every 2 to 3 months. And these are larger, more facility-like items. In addition, we have quarterly monitoring where we go through and make sure that any reporting that we have to do or any compliance measures that we have to put in place that need to go to the state or that we need to have accountability or record for, we keep that, and that's also coming through the Office of Risk Management. And on to employee training and our response to exposure. So all of our COVID planning documents have been updated. This would be the one for employees. And in the blue columns on the left, you will see that it goes through just various scenarios of what that employee would be experiencing. And then they would go over to what the response would be or the appropriate action would be. And it kind of runs them through the system all the way through the contact tracing part, and where they would go to quarantine or isolation, and then how they would come back to work. So this all goes through the Office of Risk Management. All of these documents have been updated, and they will be coming out to staff, and there's one that's coming up for students. They would be coming out Thursday and Friday as soon as we get the MOU from the our union organizations signed, sealed, and delivered. So just to make sure that we're not pushing out information that we didn't agree on or the unions are not aware of ahead of time. So these training materials will be printed and delivered to site principals as they are going to be having their staff meetings on the 24th, which is next week. Here is the student training diagram. And so again, it goes through the different scenarios, whether the student is ill or whether they have traveled, and then what their response would be. And then it goes all the way through the COVID contact tracing process, if that needs to be done, and or if the student is out on quarantine or out on isolation, then it also addresses the return to school protocols. Again, that comes through our Office of Risk Management. And for students who are needing to be isolated or who are out on quarantine, they again need to have access to their learning environment, and that learning environment needs to be uninterrupted. So that is very important to us. Canvas is going to come as a as just a needed resource this year more than ever, to make sure that students in the in-person setting can fluctuate back to home for a period up to 10 days if they have to quarantine or isolate for 10 days and then come back. And we don't want additional learning loss, and we don't want them not to have access to their curriculum and their assignments so that they fall behind in school. So between those two systems, they will work very well in tandem together. And I know that we will be in constant communication with the family to get those students back on campus as soon as possible. But we want them to come back on campus safely as well. In the latest news break, the Governor Newsom did release information where vaccinations are not mandated. However, verification of vaccination status is. And so for staff members or any school worker who has been vaccinated, we're required to check their vaccination or confirm their vaccination status. And so they can submit documentation to the Office of Risk Management. Information will be coming out to our staff as to the process of doing that. We are currently working with a system that will actually keep that information secure, and the Office of Risk Management will be the only person who has access to that information so that we do not violate any FERPA or HIPAA laws or regulations. If a staff member does not have or has not been vaccinated, then they would be required to have weekly COVID tests. And so we have partnered with Omni, who is an organization in Pasadena here, who also services San Marino, and they will be working with us at the district office. We will have a drive-through COVID testing center in the back of the district office parking lot on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the afternoon. The exact times have not been established, as we are trying to order our supply and making sure that with that Omni is able to staff that drive-through program here at our district office. But it will provide access to our staff who have not been vaccinated and need the weekly testing at no charge to themselves. So we are establishing that. Families can use that drive-through system as well. But obviously they do not have to upload any information other than, test results should they need test results. So we will be able to comply with that. More information will be coming out to our staff in the coming days as to when that testing drive-through becomes available and when it gets underway. So more on that. We will also have school site-based COVID rapid antigen tests available at our school site. So if a student becomes ill at our school site during the day, they can go down to the nurse's office. They will, we have worked through with our unions that the students would come down to the nurse's office, and the LVNs can actually administer, after being trained by our registered nurse, they can actually administer a rapid antigen test to students. There is parent permission that needs to be garnered prior to any testing. And every time a student would go down to the health office, they would need to get that parent permission before testing can occur. This will help our students, because if you do have the sniffles or if you just have a cold, a student may think that or be afraid that they have COVID or not. In this case, they can easily go down to the nurse's office, they can get a rapid antigen test, and then if it's negative, they can, and they're not feeling ill enough to go home, they can go actually back to class. If they do feel ill, of course, they will be, parents will be contacted and they will be sent home. But we do have this ability, so hopefully we don't have kids that are leaving that learning environment unneeded. And then of course, if they don't feel well enough to stay at school, they will go home. And then the PCR test will be the test that is in the drive-through that I just mentioned at the district office. And so that's a test that is a little bit more robust, and it does take a couple of days to actually receive your results. And so for those staff members who are needing that, and or for students who would like to get just the PCR test, that will be available here at the district office. And again, sign up information, date and time will be available in the coming days. And just On a side note, I know that it has come across the district table to look into the crossing guard situation. We have had a joint city meeting, and crossing guards on the city front are all in place, and crossing guards on the district front will all be in place on the first day of school. And I just wanted to just raise awareness to Crossing Guard Appreciation Day, which is February 13th, which is a long time away, but they do a tremendous job to keep our kids safe in coming to and from school. And they are really key components of the educational process, and we don't want to forget them. This year, it's also the 50th anniversary year of Title IX. And I think it's a landmark year, and it has affected a lot of women who have gone into sports. I happen to be one of them. And so I wanted to just pay tribute to Title IX and what it's done for both male and female access, and that will be celebrated throughout this year. We also want to remind everybody just to keep kids safe. They are going to be traversing to and from school. Walking to school day is in October, and then we do have kids who are riding bikes, and so bike safety is also important, as we have not done this in a very long time. And so we may get all of the rushing in the morning and getting kids to school, and all of that comes with it. So when everybody's getting back into those routines, it's just it's very important to just focus on safety, and just please know that there will be little ones who are walking to and from school and also biking to and from school. So we want to make sure that they are safe and sound when they come onto our campuses and when they get home. We are welcoming all of our staff back to a back to school breakfast, and that's going to happen on the 23rd. We're really excited about that. I know that Mari Montgomery in her enterprise role has been making community relationships all across Temple City and even into some other communities, and having donations of gift cards or donations of prizes for the back to school breakfast. I know that our unions have contributed with gift cards, and so it's going to be a great celebration to welcome everybody back. Our food services is going to host the breakfast. Yes, it's prepackaged. It's not the traditional, and we will be socially distanced to the amount feasible, but all of that information will be coming. We are going to have a presentation just to get us started into school. And it will be focusing on creating those professional learning communities across our district, and really focusing on instruction throughout the year. So we're going to do a deep dive into instruction and make sure that we look at instructional practice throughout this year. So we are excited to host everybody on the back to school breakfast on the 23rd. And then the next steps, obviously finalizing those MOUs and then communicating to parents, staff, and students, updating our website, and making sure that we are all ready for the start of school. And that is it.
Great, thank you, Kim. Can you, let me see everybody else to see. Are there any comments or questions from board members? Barry? Oh, Kiana, you have a question, I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you, President Smith. I just wanted to ask Dr. Fricker, will you be publishing this presentation anywhere online or in Parent Square?
It does go on the website. I never published it out in Parent Square before, but you would ask me to do my newsletters in Student Square, and my newsletters are coming out in Student Square, aren't they? Or
yes.
We're seeing one, we're actually getting one tomorrow. So you'll have the next newsletter in Student Square.
Thank you, I'm looking forward to that.
You are welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Kim. Very thorough presentation. Before we go on to item 22, I just want to jump back to the written communications, because I made a comment that we got kind of a nice slap on the wrist. And I meant that not sarcastically, but honestly. The letter from LACO was very polite, and they recognized a lot of the hard work that went into addressing COVID and the fire drills. And they, as I read between the lines, I sensed that we were not the only district who weren't in compliance with their template. So anyway, I just wanted to touch on that. Okay, so now moving on to item 22. It involves the discussion of the Temple City Unified School District School Connected Organization / Booster Club Manual, and we touched on this on our last meeting, and I know we'll be addressing it again at the next meeting. So Kim and I guess Mari probably are going to be addressing this.
Yeah, I can address this. So we just wanted to make sure that we did get some suggestions from some members of the board after reading through and kind of digesting that. And one of the suggestions was to make a checklist for some of those key areas like the application or facility use or fundraising. And so those are all being developed and they will be inserted into the booster manual as appendices so that it would be an easy reference that I need all of these things if I want to apply to be a booster club. I need all of these things if I'm going to, apply for facility use or host a fundraising event. So just to make it a little bit more easy to decipher for our families, I think it was a great suggestion and it's easy to implement. So when those get done, we'll pop them in.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions further? Okay, I don't see any, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to item 23, which involves business services. And we are going to receive a Measure S Citizens Oversight Committee annual report from the committee chair, Gina Aparicio. Gina? Uh-oh, I don't see her. Well,
Yeah,
it's in our.
she dropped. I thought I saw her a note that said she dropped.
It's in, so the item is in our agenda. I'll just go ahead and read. It just says Education Code 15278 and the district's Measure S Citizens Oversight Committee bylaws require an annual report of the COC on finances and project compliance in accordance with Article 13A, Section 1B3 of the California Constitution, as well as the proceedings. And the long and short of what she had to say was that we are meeting our commitments. As my dear board members, Superintendent Kimberly Frickert guests, it is my pleasure to bring you the annual report for Measure S Citizens Oversight Committee. My name is Gina Aparicio, and I'm the chairperson of the committee. At present, we are looking to fill 2 vacancies in our committee. I would like to introduce the members of the committee who are present, and I see Ann Seitz, George Gould, I see Del Schaefer. I'm not sure who Shay Young is, and if she's here, he or she. No. Okay. The Measure S, sorry?
Sunny Lowe is also here.
I didn't hear you, Ann. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Sunny Lowe is also here. He's on the committee.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't see that. But anyway, okay. The Measure S Citizens Oversight Committee conducted business meetings in accordance with our bylaws, which included budget updates and project status reports. The committee met on the following dates: March 1, 2021, via Google, and June 28th, 2021, also via Google. In accordance with the provisions of the Ralph M. Brown Act, the committee conducts meetings for the public attendance and participation. Meeting agendas and notices are sent to the committee members and posted within the required period of time at the Temple City Unified School District office and the district website. Meeting notices, agendas, minutes, and all other documents received by the committee are a matter of public record and are available at the Temple City Unified School District. On June 28, 2021, the Measure S Citizens Oversight Committee received the annual performance audits for the year ending June 30th. On behalf of the Measure S Citizens Oversight Committee, I am pleased to inform you that the district is in compliance with Article 13A, Section 1B3 of the California Constitution. The current projects are authorized under Measure S. And that's the report. Thank you to Gina for preparing this. Thank you all, the members who are the COC, for being here tonight and being with us, and we appreciate that. Are there any other questions or comments of any of the members of the COC, Citizens Oversight Committee? No? Okay, thank you very much. Then we'll move on to the next item on our agenda. Okay, with that, we're going to move on to the discussion action portion of our agenda, starting first with administrative items and item 24, which calls for a motion to adopt resolution 2122-01, revised certificate of signatures, verifying the signatures of the governing board members and authorizing Kimberly Frickert, Tamara Kataroyan, Richard Lohman, Alexa Koch to sign warrants, contracts, orders, or payments, notices of employment. So may I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution, please? I see a motion from member Georgino, second from member Lynn. Are there any further comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. Start first with a preferential vote from student board member Kiana Lee. Kiana?
Yes.
Okay. Member Sneed,
Yes.
Member Espinosa,
Yes.
Member Georgino,
Yes.
Member Lynn,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well, so the motion carries 5-0. Thank you. The next item, item 25, calls for a motion to adopt resolution 2122-02 proclaiming September 5th through 11th, 2021 as Yellow Ribbon Week, which addresses suicide prevention, and observing October as School Safety Month. May I have a motion and a second to approve, please? I see a motion from Member Espinosa and a second from Member Sneed. Sorry, can't think and write at the same time. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote, starting first with the Student Board Member Kiana Lee. Kiana?
Yes.
Okay. Member Espinosa?
Yes.
Member Georgino?
Yes.
Member Lynn?
Yes.
I'm a yes, and Member Sneed.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to item 26, which calls for a motion to receive board policy for second reading and approval. And these include board policy 1313 regarding stability and board policy 6158 independent study. May I have a motion and a second to approve, please? See a motion from Member Georgino and a second from Member Lynn. And any comments or questions? We've seen this before. Okay, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. Starting once again, preferential vote for Student Board Member Kiana Lee. Kiana?
Yes.
Okay. Then Member Georgino?
Yes.
Member Lynn?
Yes.
I am a yes. Member Sneed?
Yes.
And Member Espinosa?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries 5-0. Moving into the area of business services, item 27 calls for a motion to approve and appoint a change in the JPA district representatives. May I have a motion and a second, please? Motion from Member Espinosa and a second from Member Sneed. And let me just announce who the people are. So what's being recommended is the approval of new JPA district representative as follows: Tamar Kataroyan as district representative and Juris Burgos as alternate to the West San Gabriel Valley Benefits Joint Powers Authority. And then appointment of Mari Montgomery as the district representative and Maria Garcia, excuse me, that's somebody I used to work with, Maria Cabrera, as an alternate to the West San Gabriel Liability and Property Joint Powers Authority. So that's what we're being asked to approve. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. Member Lynn, oh, no, Student Board Member Kiana Lee. Kiana?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Member Lynn?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Member Sneed?
Yes.
Member Espinosa?
Yes.
And Member Georgino?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries 5-0. So, uh-oh. Hold on. What did I do with the rest of my, we are on to item 28, which calls for a motion to approve public disclosure of collective bargaining agreement with the California School Employees Association 823 in accordance with AB 1200. And again, that was one of the letters I read earlier in the written communication. So I need a motion and a second to approve, please. I saw a motion from Member Georgino and a second from Member Sneed. Pretty straightforward, so I'm gathering there aren't going to be any questions. Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. Student Board Member Kiana Lee?
Yes.
Okay. I'm a yes. Member Sneed?
Yes.
Member Espinosa?
Yes.
Sorry. Member Georgino?
Yes.
And Member Lynn?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to item 29, calls for approval of ratification of contracts relating to the district-wide shade structure. And I see that the total amount for these contracts was $163,574 and change. So may I have a motion and a second to approve, please? Motion from member Lynn and a second from member Georgino. Any comments or questions? I have a comment. I said this last meeting, I'm going to say it again. They look really great. It really adds a lot of nice coziness to the school. So thank you. Okay, I will go ahead and call for the vote unless anybody else wants to make a comment.
No, I just want to share that it's going to be necessary too in case we have kids outside and they need that shade. It's open air.
Yes, perfect timing. Good planning. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. Student Board Member Kiana Lee.
Yes.
Okay. Member Sneed.
Yes.
Member Espinosa.
Yes.
Member Georgino.
Yes.
Member Lynn.
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well, so that carries 5-0. Moving on to item 30, which calls for motion to approve contract for Assistant Superintendent Personnel Services. Before I call for that motion, I have something I'm going to read. It's going to take a minute or so. Presented to the board for approval is the employment agreement for Dr. Ketaroyan, setting forth the terms and conditions of her employment as the district's new Assistant Superintendent of Personnel Services beginning August 1st, 2021. Pursuant to Government Code Section 549.53, Subdivision C3, the following is a summary of the recommendation for final action. Item 1. Under this agreement, the parties approved Dr. Ketaroyan to serve as the Assistant Superintendent of Personnel Services from August 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023. So pretty much a standard 2-year contract. Anyway, item number 2, Dr. Ketaroyan will be compensated at step 5 for assistant superintendents as provided on the board approved management and unrepresented employee salary schedule, which, subject to this board's approval, may be adjusted annually for the term of this agreement by the same percentage granted to other non-management employees. Item number 3, in addition, Dr. Ketaroyan will be entitled to receive a stipend for advanced degree and longevity stipends under the same terms and conditions provided to all other management employees. Item number 4, during the term of the agreement, Dr. Ketaroyan may enroll herself and her dependents in her choice of district-sponsored medical, dental, and/or vision program on the same terms and conditions normally granted to other management employees and as provided by Board Policy 4154. Item number 5, Dr. Ketaroyan will be annually credited with 10 days of paid vacation with a cap of 20 days, and Dr. Ketaroyan will accrue sick leave in accordance with the law. Item number 6, Dr. Ketaroyan will be reimbursed for necessary and actual expenses incurred in the performance of her duties, including membership dues for the Association of California School Administrators, the California School Boards Association, and 2 local community service organizations. And then the last item 7, finally, the agreement includes a provision that allows the agreement to be terminated unilaterally by the board without cause, and in that event entitles Dr. Ketaroyan with the right to receive her current salary and benefits for the remainder of the agreement up to 12 months. So I need to ask for, at this point, a motion and a second to approve the contract for Dr. Ketaroyan. May I have a motion and a second? See Dr. Lynn's hand up and for the motion, and a member Georgino for a second. And I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote, starting first with Student Board Member Kiana Lee. Kiana?
Yes.
Okay. Member Espinosa?
Yes.
Member Georgino?
Yes.
Member Lynn?
Yes.
I'm a yes. And Member Sneed?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Tamar. Okay, we are now moving on to item 31, which calls for a motion to approve the contract for the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, and that would be Richard Lohman. And before I ask for the motion in a second, I'm going to go ahead and read a similar document. Pursuant to Government Code 549.53, Subdivision C3, the following is a summary of the recommendation for final action. Item 1, with this agreement, the parties approved Mr. Lohman to serve as the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services from August 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023. Mr. Lohman will be compensated at step 4 for assistant superintendents as provided on the board approved management and unrepresented employee salary schedule, which, subject to this board's approval, may be adjusted annually for the term of this agreement by the same percentage granted to other non-management employees. Item 3, in addition, Mr. Lohman will be entitled to receive a stipend for advanced degree and longevity stipends under the same terms and conditions provided all other management employees. Item 4, during the terms of the agreement, Mr. Lohman may enroll himself and his dependents in his choice of district-sponsored medical, dental, and/or vision program on the same terms and conditions normally granted to other management employees as provided by board policy. Sorry, all the reading's getting to me. As provided by board policy 4154. Item number 5, Mr. Lohman will be annually credited with 10 days of vacation, paid vacation, with a cap of 20 days. And Mr. Lohman will accrue sick leave in accordance with the law. Item 6, Mr. Lohman will be reimbursed for necessary and actual expenses incurred in the performance of his duties, including membership dues for the Association of California School Administrators, the California School Boards Association, and 2 local community service organizations. The last item, number 7, finally, the agreement includes a provision that allows the agreement to be terminated unilaterally by the board without cause, and in that event, entitles Mr. Lohman with the right to receive his current salary and benefits for the remainder of the agreement up to 12 months. Is there a motion and a second to approve this agreement for Richard Lohman? A motion, second, please. See Member Espinosa with a motion and Dr. Lynn with a second. Any comments or questions on this? No, then I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote, and we'll start first with Student Board Member Lee.
Yes.
Okay. Member Georgino?
Yes.
Member Lynn?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Member Sneed?
Yes.
And Member Espinosa?
Yes.
Okay, so that vote carries 5-0. Thank you. With that, we are moving on to the consent portion of our agenda, which includes routine items approved by one motion and one vote unless a member of the board or audience requested that any items be reviewed and or voted upon separately. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, or is there anything anybody wants to pull for a separate vote? I'll take a motion for the consent agenda. Motion from Member Georgino, second from Member Lynn. Are there any comments or questions about this? I have one real quick one. I noticed there's similar terms used, and I think it's the same thing about blanket POs and ongoing POs. So that's just money being set aside that can be spent during the year. Is that correct? And then the same thing?
That's correct.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay. With that, I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote, starting first with Student Board Member Lee, Kiana Lee.
Yes.
Okay. Member Lynn?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Member Sneed?
Yes.
Member Espinosa?
Yes.
And Member Georgino?
Yes.
Okay, so that motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Okay, we are on to the board requests comments section of our agenda. Are there any comments that anybody would like to make before we close? Dawn, I see you. Yes, please.
Yes. I was wondering if we could get information about the 2 openings on the Citizens Oversight Committee, because I know different openings have different requirements, and then maybe we can help try to recruit some people to fill those 2 vacancies.
Great idea. I'll be happy to announce that at our next meeting if people are interested in applying. So Kim, if that's information you can provide us, I'd appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other, thank you. Any other board comments? Okay, so we have move on to the future agenda items. Item 40, we have 2 listed, visual and performing arts. We have crossing guards listed, but you touched upon that tonight. Would there be anything else to add at this point? Or should we cross that one off the list?
I think I can cross it off if you can cross it off.
We good on that, everyone? Okay. Any other future agenda items, new, different? Anybody would like to add? No? Okay, thank you. Then I guess I will go ahead and call for a motion to adjourn. And that would be at 8:39 p.m. I have a motion and a second. I saw Member Lynn's hand and then Member Espinosa for the second. And I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. Student Board Member Lee?
Yes.
I am a yes. Member Sneed,
Yes.
Member Espinosa,
Yes.
Member Georgino,
Yes.
and Member Lynn.
Yes.
So the motion carries 5-0, and we are now adjourned. Thank you all very much. Our next regularly scheduled board meeting is September 8th.